Crazy Will's family. What's up, beautiful people? Today is a special episode because we have Zan Thornton, and she's going to talk about some disability voting and the importance of voting and why we should all roll to the polls. So, right now, I'm going to bring Zan in. I'm going to introduce her to you guys. So, let's get it started. Zan, how
Hey
you doing?
there.
How you doing today? So,
Busy.
good. So, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started with the roll to the polls.
Well, I actually started with Georgia Adapt. I was an attendant for Georgia Adapt at one time back in the 90s. We're talking a long time ago. And then I became disabled. And then I realized then between the two that we need to get people to the polls because a lot of people with disabilities can't ride or roll to the polls. And people are saying, well, we need voters. Well, if you're not giving rides, you're not getting voters. And that's the simple um, thing that we say is that, people are spending millions of dollars to go knock on doors, but you're 100% sure somebody votes if you take them to vote. So,
Absolutely.
and there's
Absolutely.
27% of the population is in Georgia, voters are disabled, and not many people, if any, except us, have people with disabilities setting it up for people with disabilities. So often you'll see them say, "We've got rides for handicap," and we're like, "Ugh." Disabled is a preferred word for us, and we just believe that we know what's best for us, and so we can give the best rides.
Okay, cool. So what is the efforts that Adapt has been doing to get people to polls? Like what have you guys done to make people more aware of what you guys are doing?
Well, we hit the Facebook pretty heavy, Instagram, Twitter, which X now, email, send it to the newspapers, do press releases, but mostly Rev Up. Rev Up Georgia has been the biggest one, and their coalition of over 100 groups gets the word out. And so we've had over 1,000 calls. We've had over 1,500 hits on our website, and it's just massive. I mean, it went from the first time we did it, we gave about 12 rides, and then the second time was 250. Then the third time was 450, and then the fourth time was 788. And now we expect probably 2,500 to 3,000 rides. That includes rides to the polls to get your ID and then go vote, or rides to put your absentee ballot in a box, because now you have to go into the building and put it in the box. And I can't legally do it. It's a felony for me to touch the ballot. The person with the disability has to literally go into the box, put it in the box, and they can't ask for any help. And that's just crazy to me.
So what do you do for someone that has physical limitations like myself and may need help putting it in the box?
Oh, well, we'll gladly help you. What the process is, we um, we would help you. For example, we have an accessible vans, and then we go in accessible van, and then we go to the place, and then we help you get through the line, because there's always a line to the box, and then there's a line to the voters. And the voters with disabilities get priority. They're supposed to be able to go to the front of the line during certain hours, and so we would cut you a path, literally, um, and get you to the box to drop it in there, or help you drop it in there. But physically, I can't do it myself, but I could put my hand on your hand. There's
Um,
different ways to do it, but
yeah, yeah.
the law is so strict. It's like, I mean, I used to say, well, hand it to me and I'll hand it and put it in the box, and that's a felony now.
So is there legislation around trying to make it where it's not a felony for people with disabilities?
No, not right now. We're suing. We're part of the suit against the state, the SB 202, which happened 3 years ago, 2021. We're the only grassroots disability group on the lawsuit. the Georgia ARC, well, the National ARC is on it, but they're not grassroots. They're parents for people with disabilities. And then GAO, the Georgia Advocacy Office, their legal department is part of that. And she's a parent with a disability, but we're the only group that has literal disabled people that are doing the suit and participating in the depositions and participating in court.
Awesome. So, what's some of the great things that have come out of the court cases and the depositions? What kind of moves have you guys seen? What's the differences you guys seen since you guys started doing this?
Well, they can give water and food at a closer range now. And we challenged that legally. We challenged it with police, and the police did nothing. That was not this Monday, but last Monday, we had a group of people with New Disabled South and other groups, Freeway Freedom. I can't remember the name of the group, but it was fabulous. And they handed out water and the police did nothing. And so I think it's going to be a law that's unjust, and nobody's going to pursue it unless there are a voter suppression type, and then
Yeah.
they might call the police and say you must arrest them because the law says that. But so far we haven't. Now the court case hasn't gone well because we asked for a temporary injunction over 2 years ago, and they ruled that it was too close to the election to make a decision. And we're like, huh? It's 2 years. And they keep saying that same excuse. And now it's really too close to make a decision. So we haven't got them to stop. We wanted the ballot box outside, the box that you drop in outside, and they haven't done that. Some of the laws, like they used to say that you can't bring a camera in or a phone into the voting with you. And most people put up on old rules, but the new rule says unless it's disabled person and unless it's a disabled person.
Okay.
But most of the time, even Memorial Drive will say, no, you can't do that. And we're like, well, here's the law, because we usually give it to our people a copy of the law, and we say, this is the law. It says they can have the camera there. Please let them have the camera and let them vote.
So what you're saying is a lot of people working the polls don't know the disability law and what they need to
Oh,
do.
absolutely.
So we're trying to educate them on what they need to do, what the do's and don'ts are for people with disabilities because they don't know, and that's the gap in the situation that's going on.
Exactly. And there's a lot of poll workers that were chased out because of Trump's um, gang of people that sent them hateful stuff. And so they need poll workers desperately because they lost more than 50% of them because of the Trump taking on Fannie. Is it Fannie? The taking the people from the Fulton County. It's terrible. That's voter suppression in itself. That you are attacking the poll workers so they don't go to the polls, so you don't have poll workers, so the lines get longer. So it's
Yeah.
another way to suppress the vote.
So now that you say talking about poll workers getting chased out, what has been the response if someone like myself wants to work the polls and I'm disabled? What do people say about that? What is the response when someone
You,
like me wants to work the polls? Are they allowed to do that at all, or?
oh, sure, you're allowed to do it. There should be nothing stopping you from doing it. Um, Reasonable accommodation. They should be able to take anybody with a disability. The main thing is being able to do the essential task, and um, most of those are not disability exempt.
Okay, so you guys haven't seen any discrimination around that working the poll or anything
No,
like that? Because that was
no,
interesting that you said people have been chased out. So that made me think. I wonder if they've been chased out. If anybody disabled tried to work the polls, because I've thought about doing it
right.
myself before.
But Butch worked the polls too. He's disabled, and
Awesome.
he saw a lot of corruption in there. But they didn't. They let him work until he couldn't work anymore, and
Awesome.
so they want us to work for them
So I know.
now.
I'm sorry, I cut you
But
off. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Now we don't like again, the poll workers don't know the facts. And a lot of people still don't know ADA is a law. And so they just think, oh, you're disabled, you can't work. But legally, there's no reason stopping you.
Okay. So, talk about a little bit about the caravan and what you guys are doing, going, I guess, nationwide. Because I got emails about that, and I thought it was very interesting. That's something I wanted to touch on in this episode is the caravan and all that you guys have been doing with that, because people may not know about
The caravan, I think, is over. I'm not really affiliated with them anymore. Mark Johnson is the person to contact for the caravan. Our rolls to the polls, we provided the caravan with ways to register people, and Rev Up gave them money to get out the vote. And I haven't seen the data from that at all, but I think Mark is planning to do a march to Selma. So talk to him about that because that's his next scene. I think the caravan's over right now, but
it. So,
for rolls of the polls, we go through all of Georgia that we can find a ride or driver for.
okay, I thought the caravan and the voting were tied in together. I thought that was part of getting people out to vote. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Um, so have you? What's the increase of seeing people with disability vote because of the role of the polls? Like, what's the? Have you guys seen a big increase or?
Oh, avalanches, avalanche. We have at least 3 times the well, we have at least 5 times the riders that had called on the previous election. And like the last election, we did 788 rides, getting people ID, getting people to the polls, getting people to the absentees to put the boxes. And this time we're expecting 2,500 to 3,000.
That's
So that's a big jump.
yeah. So what is the attitude of people when you first time see them vote, and how does it make them feel when they feel like they can vote? Have you seen any advocacy? Them want to get more into advocacy
Oh
because of that?
man, it's incredible. Like one woman, she's 93 years old, and her doctor thought, well, she's 93, she doesn't need a power chair. She needs a power chair because she can't even roll her chair. So for her to get a ride to the polls to vote, nobody would take her except us. And that means we have to go up to her room, have to open the door, have to go get her purse, and then wheel her downstairs and then take her to the polls, which they changed 3 times. And we had to go to 3 different polls to see if she could to vote. And then she voted, and she's like, wow, that's the first time I've got to have an accessible vote in 93 years.
That's
That's amazing.
That's awesome because I've even took it for granted myself because my parents just load me up in the car and we go. But it's amazing that somebody just now voted and they're 93 years old. So that's
Right.
crazy. So
Right. Because it used to be
go ahead.
they'd send your absentee ballots
Yeah,
automatically,
yeah,
and
and
they don't do that anymore.
some of those don't even get counted from what I heard by the news. They don't even count that as a vote. So why do you think that? What is the response of politicians when you talk about Rev Up and what you guys are doing? Um what is the response from them on the politicians themselves?
Well, for me, I'm a member of Rev Up. On this broadcast, I'm representing myself. I'm talking for myself, so I can talk about partisanship. But Roll to the Polls is nonpartisan. Georgia Adapt is semi nonpartisan, but Rev Up is definitely nonpartisan. But the Democratic voters, politicians, are more likely to accept us, but they still don't get it. They still don't get it. We had to threaten to protest a certain representative that's a Democrat because their state passed a platform that didn't include the waivers, didn't include ADA, and we were upset with that because I'm also part of the Disability Caucus of Georgia and other groups. So we've got a long way to go. It's been 34 years since the ADA is passed, and people still don't know it, and they still want to destroy it. I mean, Project 2025 it does want to get rid of any federal protections. That includes disability, that includes veteran status, It includes LGBTQ. It includes religious. And so we're worried that a certain vote for Trump means that you support Project 2025, which is a really foobar thing. It's a screwed up. It's a screwed up, and it will put us back 50 to 100 years if he becomes a president. So, I've not found a single Republican that's come forward and say let's support disabled people, other than Charlie's dad, and Charlie Miller's dad supports disability rights, but can't break that glass ceiling that his party says he can't go to. He can go up to it, but he can't go over it. And so he still supports Trump. And I think Charlie's going to be a swing voter.
Okay.
He's not going to vote for Trump. But
Awesome.
then again, I can't say, but it seems that way.
Yeah, I've often wondered why, when you watch the news and things like that disability rights aren't even a part of the conversation at all. And that's what blows my mind, because people realize we can talk, we can do all the things that other people can do, and they all want us to do it, but yet we're not part of the question. I was going to ask you, why do you think that is? And that's why I was going to bring that up, because most people that will watch and listen to this, they finally realize that we're not even a part of the conversation when it
True.
comes to legislation and bills. So why do you think why do you think that is? I mean, I don't know if you can answer that question or talk about it, but I think that's something people need to know.
People live in frames. George Lakoff does a book. What's that elephant in the room? Basically, he says people think in frames, and people that are Trump supporters or Republicans think in the patriarchy. Man is the top. He has to take care of his family. He doesn't take care of other families. He just takes care of his family. And so, with that model comes charity. Charity is we're giving you a gift because of our kindness from our hearts. It's not that you deserve it. It's not that you want it, but we're going to give it to you anyways. And so the Democrats more of a frame of everybody should be taken care of. We should take care of each other. It's a more of a communal societal justice thing, that there are people that can't afford to do stuff. Like people can't afford to go to the polls. They can't afford to pay $3.50 one way to take MARTA, and MARTA won't wait for them. And so that's $5 out of their pocket, and that we will reimburse it. But the Republicans don't see that as a problem. And, either you can afford it or you're not. If you can't afford it, too bad. You didn't work hard enough, or you didn't do this, or you were, and then some religious entities say, that's God's way of making you humble, is making you disabled. And so that BS is not into the Democrat Party as much as it is in the Republican Party, if I said that right. So it's the frame of way we look at it. The Democrats look at freedom as we work together, we can do anything. Whereas the Republicans say, I can make money myself and fuck the rest of the people. Well, I don't know
Okay.
if I can say fuck, but oh well.
Yeah, that's a very interesting logic there. I never heard that logic. So you just put it a different way, so now I better understand why that is.
Well, it
Um,
comes to the social model of disability. There's a medical model, which is you're broken and you need fixed, and that's the model that the Republicans usually go after. That either we fix you or you're broken, and then the Democrats more tend to. That doesn't mean they're always there, but more of, oh, they're part of our family, they're part of our community. We need to work better with them. But
okay.
the social model and the medical model disagree total. Like your chair, when my chair breaks or your chair breaks, it's going to take weeks to get it fixed. And one of the ladies that was riding with us, her rollator was broken when we went to pick her up, and we said we'll fix it. So Elizabeth went over today, bought the part, and went over there and fixed it, and then took her to vote.
That's
But
all.
if we had to wait on the medical status to do that, that would have been 3 weeks to a year. It would take a long time to get the part.
So
It took us overnight to get the part.
yeah, I know. So how can people get more involved what you guys are doing in Rev Up. What do you guys people need to do? What do you think people need to know the most about Rev Up and what you guys are doing?
Well, Rev Up, Georgia is Bob Kafka said it incredibly well. He's the founder, one of the founders of Adapt. He said collaboration and working with the agencies, nobody else does that except in Georgia, which is an amazing compliment from him because we work with the DD councils, we work with the Georgia Advocacy Office, we work with the ARC, we work with the other groups, and then we work with the grassroots like us, Georgia Adapt. But working together, there's always something we can do together, and as together we can get it done. Whereas other states, there's infighting. The agencies are fighting with the grassroots people, and they don't want to talk to each other. They don't want to associate with each other. So one of the differences of Georgia Rev Up and Georgia Adapt is that we work with everybody. We even work with the people that say the word handicap. We try to educate them, but we believe that together we can do anything. And so we have.
Awesome. That's really awesome. Well, is there anything you want to say to the people as we wrap this interview up? Anything you want to say, some encouraging words, and or something people need to know about you or Adapt or what you guys are doing, or something that the community needs to know that they don't know about people with disabilities and things like that?
Well, there's two things. Is that together we can do anything. Like me, I'm in bed usually 20 hours a day. I'm flat on my back. I've got 3 spinal cord injuries. I got bad knees, and I've got a chronic disease, and I've got depression, and I've got other mental illness, and then I've got blah 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 blah. So it's really hard for me to get out and do this. If they were counting on me to do all this, I would have never gotten it done. But because of like Stacy Ramirez with Crimmins and Associates, and she's also the co-chair of Georgia Rev Up, she has made it so easy. I just type in, I can find the drivers, I can hook the drivers with the riders. It was so easy. So my main point is that no matter what you do, you can contribute. Even if you don't think you contribute, even if you can't talk, we sign. We there's something that you can do, and we believe in everybody, and that every disability rights group should be taking advantage of the people with disabilities because there's so much talent out there. Like you are running the show. I mean, that's amazing. This should be national. I think it should be national. So I'm very proud of you for doing this and proud for you letting me be on today. So we're proud of the people, and together we can do it. We can do miracles, and that going from 12 rides to 1,200 to 2,000 to 2,500 rides in less than 8 years or so is amazing. So don't discount yourself. Feel
Awesome.
proud, feel welcomed, and attend the Georgia Rev Up meetings. They're the first and third Thursdays of the month at 10 o'clock in the morning, which I don't do mornings if I can avoid it. But they're online, and they've got a Facebook.
Awesome. So,
Oh, let me do one
go,
more thing.
go ahead.
For if you want to ride, you can call us at 1-855-232 8683, and that spells 855 ADA vote. Then you can fill out a form, and the form's on our website, which is rolltothepolls.vote, and it's ROLL, no S, and then the number 2, or actually the number 2. Sorry, in sign language it gets confusing. And then the THE polls with an S, and then dot vote, and then it has the drivers for volunteers. The drivers form is really the volunteer form. And then riders can call those numbers. They can text us. They can do all of that. And if they just call that number, we know they called, even if they don't leave a message.
Awesome. So I want you to do one other thing. Tell me a story of like a young person that thought they couldn't vote and how Rev Up changed them. Because I have a lot of young people with disabilities that watch this, and I know we told the story about the older lady, and that's awesome. But what's the time you can remember when a young person was affected by what you guys do and how it changed your life? You want to tell a quick story of how the young people can get out, how they really can make a change because we're young. And so I really want to paint the picture for young people that might be watching this that they can really make a difference. If you don't mind, tell
Oh,
a quick.
yes. This Natasha just voted this year. She was in an institution and she got out and she's in an apartment by herself, but she never could vote when she was in the institution. So now it's up to her to go to vote. And so she called us. We talked to her. We gave her a ride. We went with her in her chair. And Elizabeth, we have these jackets that we wear. They're like the traffic people, but they kind of exude that we know what we're doing. I'm
That's
sorry, it's just funny. But anyways, the poll said, "Hey, come on in, come help her." And it's like that's unusual because usually the polls are like, "You can't help them, you can't do anything." So the polls let us go with her, and she did everything herself. But Elizabeth was there to support her, and she was just ecstatic that she got to vote. And hopefully today she'll be on another interview with the 19th, a newspaper, national newspaper, talking about her experience. So
yeah,
it was amazing. She's less than 30 years old. She's got to have an institution. She uses a wheelchair. She's on her own now. And this is the first time she's got to vote. And I appreciate you bringing up and reminding me of that story. I'm just kind of overwhelmed with all the calls that like I said, I'm usually in bed 20 hours a day.
that's awesome.
But yeah,
So the reason why I
I
did that,
appreciate you with this.
I really did the reason why I did that is to show people that just because we have disabilities and we can't communicate sometimes very well like other people, we still have a mind, we have a voice, and our voice needs to be heard just like yours. And people with disabilities need to be the forefront of politics.
Excellent. Excellent. Yes, I agree 100%.
And it was great talking to you, Zan, and I look forward to having you on another episode soon.
Thank you so much. And thank you for getting me squeezed in today.
Absolutely. And Crazy Will's family, we'll see y'all next time.